Turning it on.
Yep. Hey everybody, how are you? Circle Track live here at Slinger Speedway. The final night of Super Late Model Racing before the Slinger Nationals has just concluded. Todd Thelen is the track promoter here along with Rodney Erickson. Todd, say hi to everybody here.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, let's take a look at one of the most famous tracks, not only in the state of Wisconsin, obviously, but here in the entire United States. Todd, you're kind of in a rare breed as far as promoters are concerned. You used to race here at Slinger. Tell me what Slinger was like for you as a racer.
It was awesome. I actually came out of dirt track racing and went to asphalt. So I compare this to a fast, heavy, high bank dirt track. There's a few of them around here like it. Beaver Dam's kind of like it, but like a mini Eldora, that kind of a deal. So for asphalt fans or asphalt racers, this is as good as it gets. And two wide racing, that's kind of why I compare to the dirt tracks too. You can get at least two abreast here, no problem. Some guys try to do it three wide, but we don't like it. But anyway, it's just one of those racetracks that you can race real hard and be aggressive and keep the wheels on and win the race.
Now you and I are standing here on the track, which I've actually, for some of the readers that would see some of my articles, would remember that I actually worked here at Slinger, and I stood on this banking and waved flags and pointed cars in directions and things like that. Tell me about the banking and the character of this racetrack.
Can you tell everybody that your name is Swoosh?
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's go for that.
Okay, so the banking and the characteristics of the racetrack, is that what we're talking about now?
Yes.
So this is banked between 28 and 30 degrees, comparable to Daytona, Bristol before it came to be a progressive racetrack, but it's really banked high, and again, that leads to the two wide racing and the world's fastest quarter-mile asphalt oval.
And what kind of lap times are we turning here? I know the track record's still in the 11s. It's 11.0 in super late models. When you had the midgets and the sprints here, they've broken that before. But the times here are just absolutely wild for any kind of a racetrack.
Right now, the super lates are turning low 11s. The quickest of the year is 11:22. The last few weeks, it takes a tenth of a second between about the top 14 cars. And so if you're off a little bit, you're missing the show. We usually lock in 16, so a tenth of a second between 14 cars isn't a lot. And when you can be that competitive, it really brings out the best racers and puts on a good show.
Let's take a little walk toward turn number 3, which in our late model feature ended up being Calamity Corner a little earlier on today. Kind of a chain reaction. Stuff happens fast here at Slinger Speedway, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You're reacting to things as you see them. It happens that fast. You either react and you miss it, or you react and you're in it.
And as far as where you would want to be here on a typical qualifying line or in a race line, you kind of want to be up toward this wall. I know you talked a lot about the two wide racing, and people can see this line down here. You can start to see some scuff marks down our left-hand side where things sort of happened and broke loose a little earlier. But really, you kind of have to watch your lines here, don't you?
Yeah, we want racers to pick the high lane or the low lane. Side-by-side racing is successful when guys don't put the bumper on each other. And if you drive down the middle of the racetrack, it's hard to pass, and we'll warn guys a couple laps to tell them to pick a lane, again, higher or lower. And if they don't adhere to the flagman to pick a lane, hopefully before they get wrecked, we put them on the trailer.
Now what's really interesting is, as you talked about with the super lates, a lot of two wide racing. We saw that today. The late models as well. I like it when the Slinger Bs come out and they're running 3-4 wide on this track. There's plenty of room for them out there in the 4-cylinders, isn't there?
We actually allow 3 wide, and 4 wide is questionable. We tell them they can do it, but they have to be careful. So yeah, good racing, side by side, and it just doesn't get any better. The speed is relative to what they're all doing, and those guys put on a hell of a show.
Now we can kind of see the wall here really quick. A couple of billboards coming down as well from that late model wreck. And I know you were up there kind of looking. And, well, what exactly happened up there? as far as the damage to the track?
Well, the cables and the wall did its job. Behind this D&M billboard over here, there's a stationary pole that's holding the cables in the corner, and that one gave way, but it moved, but it held everything together for long enough to keep the whole system in place. It looks like the fence is what keeps the cars in, but it's not. It's the cable.
One thing I think that's really interesting, you don't see it in a lot of short tracks, something that you guys added this year is this Gateway Plastics Restart Zone. Tell me about this.
Well, it's a pretty cool thing. For years and years and years, and even when I raced, we always wondered, where do you start? And the flagmen will say, pick it up coming into 3 and make sure by you get to start-finish line that you're even and we'll go. Well, it's judgmental, and where's the real line, and is it going to happen here, is it going to happen there? So we decided to have a balls and strike type thing, or maybe actually a better analogy is baseball foul line. And this is, if you start, I'll start over. The leader of the race or the control car cannot be ahead of this line. Or, I'm sorry, the leader of the race or the control car must be ahead or even at this line. If the second place car or the non-control car is ahead at all, it's not going green. And the second line is the same thing. The leader of the race or the control car cannot, nobody can be in front of him. And it's black and white. It's really easy to see it. And it's cool for the fans because they can see it.
We can take a little trip down to the flag stand here. I know you have some places to be. Just tell me a little bit about the characteristics of setup. A lot of racetracks around here, a lot of guys are doing the soft spring, the real soft setup, bump stops, all that kind of stuff. I know when we brought the cars here a couple of times, those guys were just so surprised by how stiff they had to make their cars here to get them around and get them to turn fast.
Well, stiff is old school. When I raced, we thought we were being tricked by having 350s in the front, across the front, and that was soft. These days, guys are, I don't even know exactly. I hear some guys are putting 125 pound springs in. Some guys are 200s, but they're somewhere in that range, in the 200 pound range. A fast setup back in the day, in the late 90s, would be 500s across the front. Not anymore. They've got the shock technology and the bumps figured out, and these things turn like go-karts.
Now I know coming up here a week from Tuesday is your Crown Jewel event, really a famous event all around the United States. The Slinger Nationals, you have Matt Kenseth coming, Chase Elliott's going to come to be the Grand Marshal. You also have Bubba Pollard and Harrison Burton signed up. Tell me a little bit about the Nationals and what you guys have done here over the past couple of years to really bring it back to the forefront.
Well, for starters, we put it back to a Tuesday night so you can get the guys that race other venues on weekends, whether it's the guys like Bubba Pollard and Steve Dorr down south. They're gonna be running the Redbud, I believe, that Saturday before. So it gives them the opportunity to come out to Slinger and run on a Tuesday night. It goes back to the old deal of when Dick Trickle and Wayne Erickson first got this going. Put on a Tuesday night when the guys can come that are doing other things, and the fans have embraced it, and it works out for us too.
Now, one thing I like that you guys added here, you can't see it from this side of the fence. You added the stage, guys like Rob Brown, who won the Super Late Model feature tonight, and Jordan DeVoy get to go and stand up there right in front of all the fans, and you see here the grandstand area right where everybody can kind of see him. Tell me about bringing that in.
The Interstate Sign Victory Deck?
Yes.
Well, for years, we tried to figure out how can we get the fans closer to the racer? How can we get that, the face with the name? Because we have a victory lane that's typically in the X here. They'll take pictures and do stuff there. But it was like, well, why can't we just stop them and build a deck over here and bring them out there? And it's one of those the light bulb goes on moments where why don't more racetracks do it? But other tracks do. The Dells brings the cars up there, and we just don't have the room to bring the cars. So that's what we did, and it's really cool. The racers like it. We'll introduce all the Nationals lineup from that victory deck, and they'll high five the whole way out, and it brings that closeness from the fan to the racer, and a little bit more fun for everybody.
So big week and a half coming up here for you. Next Sunday, the King of the High Banks. Next Tuesday, the Slinger Nationals. If folks want to find out more information on what's coming up here and they want to find out how to get here, maybe they can make their way up, tell them how they can do it.
Well, the easiest way to find information is slingersuperspeedway.com. Otherwise, a lot of folks these days use Facebook. The official Slinger Speedway Facebook page has a lot of information on it. We do some Twitter feed, but the best way really is to go to either the social media site of Facebook of Slinger Speedway or the slingersuperspeedway.com, or they can call 262-644-5921 for more information or to order tickets.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of Circle Track Facebook Live, this is one of my home tracks. This is Matt Pan, your editor of Circle Track Magazine, one of the places I have always loved coming to. You should find a way to get here yourself. The world's fastest quarter-mile oval, Slinger Speedway. Slinger Nationals coming up a week from Tuesday. One event you folks should put on the bucket list. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. We'll catch you next time.